Hi, these comments are for JP, and I am Michael from Better TOEFL Scores and OnlineTOEFLCourse.com, and I'm reading the integrated writing practice test that you sent me, I think, yesterday, and I'm going to do an error correction video of your writing right now. So let's take a look at it. So in this case, you have a reading and a listening passage is discussing the steps or are discussing the steps to make businesses succeed, right? So you're combining and showing the relationship between the most important points in the reading and the listening passage. Okay, so after reading everything that you wrote here, I went over and looked at the independent rubrics here. And I'm going to put you in the 3 area. In my notes here, I have 3.0 out of 5 or 20 points out of 30. I think that is your estimated score right now. So when I look at it, I think there's 2 problems here. You have some key points made in the lecture or the reading may be incomplete, inaccurate, or imprecise. I think that's part of it. And then the second area here is errors of usage and or grammar may be more frequent or may result in noticeably vague expressions or obscure meanings in conveying ideas and connections. So I think because of these 2 reasons, I scored you in the 3 area. Okay, so let's get started. So I am going to error correct this essay right now. And one of the first things I like to do is I want to see what Microsoft Word thinks about your writing. I'm clicking on review. I'm using the editor. So according to Microsoft Word, we have 3 grammar errors. I'm sure there's more than that. And I'm going to get just a minute. Okay, here we go. So let's take a look at what we can learn here from this. Give me a quick second here. Okay, so when I'm looking at this, there's a couple of things that are interesting to me. One of them is the words per sentence here, which is 19.7, and characters per word is 5.1. So, and then as a result of that, your grade level here, what's called your Flesch-Kincaid grade level, is 11.7. So you need to make, I think, at least one change here to dramatically improve your grade level, to make it a little bit more academic. It means that you need to combine some of the sentences that you've written so that your average sentence length goes from 19.7 to around 25, and that'll definitely increase your grade level probably to 13 or 14, which I think is more appropriate for academic writing. Okay, so that's my first idea there that I want to look at there. Okay, let's look at the first paragraph. Both the reading and the listening, and you don't really have a verb here, both the reading and the listening discuss I'm going to put how businesses, then we can put can succeed. The lecture we'll say lecturer. The lecturer We'll say the lecturer believes that the three strategies mentioned by the reading passage are not effective. Then we'll put, and I don't think while works here. While is what's called a subordinating conjunction. You can't use it in the beginning of a sentence to put a comma after it. So to help you more with that, if you go over to the grammar part of my course, JP, I want you to go through the lesson. It talks about how to make your speaking and writing more coherent. And during that lesson, I will show you the different kinds of connecting words you can use and the different sentence structures that these connecting words require. So I think that's going to help you avoid some of the errors you're making here. Okay, I'm going to put this. So I don't think the colon's going to work here. So we have employees should participate in all meetings. Should read all materials. And should write reports this is how I would say this. So I think we have this paragraph I think is a little bit better. So both the reading and the listening discuss how businesses can succeed. The lecturer believes that the three strategies mentioned by the reading passage are not effective, and the author in the reading passage suggests that in order to improve company efficiency, employees should participate in all meetings, should read all materials, and should write reports all at once without following the steps of the writing process. And I think that is the introduction. In paragraph 2, to begin with, the first issue we encounter associated with company meetings. So in this case, I think the we, you want to get away from that. So if you go to, let me give you another one, Toefl speaking and writing point of view or points of view, you'll find an article I wrote at Better Toefl Scores. I think that's a good one for you. So the personal pronoun we, I don't think that's a good pronoun for integrated writing. You're not trying to become part of this discussion. You're explaining a reading and listening passage from someone else's point of view. So the first issue concerning business success and you can put this is associated with whether or not employees should attend company meetings. Maybe. So if you want to give it a topic sentence like that, you can do that. I don't even think it's necessary. I think you can just start off with the speaker. The speaker highlights that the number of meetings that you're not getting everything here that employees attend should be limited and shorter. I'm going to say so that these discussions are useful for controversial topics. But long meetings, I'm going to put here long meetings. And this is the problem. Notice how you have double verbs in here. Long meetings take and they could be. This is a problem. Remember, this is a good rule to remember in English grammar. You can't really have more than one verb in a sentence without some kind of connector. But what if we take this first verb and change it to a participle? We say, but long meetings taking more than 65 minutes could be unproductive because business leaders spend too much time on introductory. We already said the introductory. How about introductory information? So that employees cannot, notice how cannot paying, focus. So that's another problem. Here's another rule you can remember here. You can use, when you have a modal like can, could, may, might, you cannot conjugate the verb directly after that. Right? So, business leaders spend too much time on introductory information, so employees cannot focus or cannot how about they cannot pay attention to much of that or maybe we can just do this. Now let's look at it. The speaker highlights that we want to put the number of the meetings employees attend should be limited and shorter so that these discussions are useful for controversial topics. But long meetings taking more than 65 minutes could be unproductive because business leaders spend too much time on introductory information, so employees cannot pay, how about, full attention. Moreover, he demonstrates his point by saying that employees should, and you have to put nicely, this is an adverb. I'm going to put it in a very common place for adverbs, in between the modal auxiliary and the main verb there. So moreover, he demonstrates his point by saying that employees should nicely decline you must say, or at the very least, these workers can ask to be dismissed after the first hour. Instead, employees can send emails and make quick phone calls. Without having to hold too many, we'll say too many meetings here. On the other hand, the text posits that employees should attend all meetings. As a result, effective for debating. And I don't know you have to say all that, but you have, on the other hand, the text posits that employees should attend all meetings so that they can perform their job duties in highly productive manners. Maybe something like that. And that's good enough there. We got to go on. My only suggestion is I think that you should probably say a little bit more about the reading passage. I mean, look at this. All of this information is the listening, and basically you have one line for the reading passage. Now, the reading doesn't contain a lot of super important information. You've explained what the main point is. Okay, so let's take a look at the next paragraph. You say, moreover, I like how you're using that transition word to kind of add to what you've already said. So another topic of the debate revolves around the required reading materials should read. Once again, the professor points out that you want to make this plural. Once again, the professor points out that employees should not read all of the required So the professor points out that employees should not read maybe everything in the required documents because it will, it will take too much time. Besides, he illustrates this point by mentioning You can put maybe reading materials, you can say. So the speaker encourages employees to skim through the mandatory readings, focusing on the most important points needed for these, I think it's something like this, for these employees to perform their jobs more effectively, you might say. However, the article confirms that supplementary reading materials provided to their employees, that workers, now you got major problems with word order, provided to employees, confirms that the supplementary reading materials, you need a verb there that goes with, you have the word that, right? So this is your noun clause connector. Then you have the supplementary reading materials provided to their employees. All of that's actually the subject. So there's no need to use that worker. So you'll say the article confirms that supplementary reading materials provided to their employees could help these workers perform their tasks. Nicely is an empty word. Productively, yes, that's a good word. Could help these workers perform their tasks more productively. According to him, can read, no, a lot of problems there. I'm going to say according to him, therefore, show cause effect there. Employees should read, put the full text of both supplementary and required reading materials. Okay, I think we got it. To wrap things up, I like how you use that right in the beginning of this final body paragraph as a transition word to introduce the listening point number 3 along with reading point 3. The final point in the discussion is connected to the stages in the writing process. Then you might say, and particularly, whether should follow the steps of the writing process. I'd probably say something like that, because each each topic, if you want to use a topic sentence like that, it's kind of questioning, first, how many meetings should employees attend? The next topic is really how much of the required reading should employees actually read? And then the final point is to what extent should employees follow the steps of the writing process? Those are kind of the three questions of debate here. The instructor suggests that employees need to follow step by step the writing process. And you might say something like this: by making an outline, writing a rough draft, and having another, and having about having a coworker edit having a coworker edit the draft. Yeah, I don't think that you're getting everything here. This is one of the reasons I'm giving you a A3. Yeah, it's the impreciseness of it. You're not getting sometimes the exact points from either the reading or the listening. So that's one of the other reasons there. But overall, you understand what you've read and what you've listened to, but you're not able to fully explain those points. So the author suggests that employees need to follow step by step. They need to follow step by step the writing process by making an outline, writing a rough draft, having a coworker edit the draft, and completing a final draft before submitting the report. What's more, he explains that some of the workers yeah, I don't think we need this here. I'm going to get rid of this. You want to see what's more following? Write the reports in a more timely. I'm put timely, and believe it or not, timely in this case is it's an adjective, not an adverb. So what's more, following this writing process will help workers write the reports in a more timely and accurate manner. Nevertheless, the passage states that employees should not write their reports by following the steps of the writing process. You're not getting everything here. Because these steps are time consuming and should write these documents all at once. And I think we have it there. In conclusion, the listening passage is skeptical of the accuracy of each point discussed by the, I'm not going to say reader, by the author in the reading passage, I think is a better word there. Okay, let's take a look at it one more time before I'm going to make some recommendations now based on what I've just read here. You say both the reading and the listening discuss how businesses can succeed. The lecturer believes that the three strategies mentioned by the reading passage are not effective, and the author in the reading passage suggests that in order to improve company efficiency, employees should participate in all meetings, should read all materials, and should write reports all at once without following the steps in the writing process. To begin with, the first issue concerning business success is associated with whether or not employees should attend company meetings. The speaker highlights that the number of meetings an employee should attend should be limited and shorter so that these discussions are useful for controversial topics. But long meetings taking more than 65 minutes could be unproductive because business leaders spend too much time on introductory information, so employees cannot pay full attention. Moreover, he demonstrates his point by saying that employees should, let's get rid of nicely, give you a little bit stronger. Employees should politely decline attending those meetings, or at the very least, these workers can ask to be dismissed after the first hour. Instead, employees can send emails and make quick phone calls to conduct their work without having to hold too many meetings. On the other hand, the text posits that employees should attend all meetings so they can perform their job duties in highly productive manners. Moreover, another topic of the debate revolves around how much of the required reading materials employees should read. Once again, and maybe read, we can change to peruse. Peruse also means read, and I changed it because we already said reading here. So it gives you a little bit better vocabulary. Once again, the professor points out that employees should not read everything in the required documents because it would take too much time. Instead of reading the entire text in all reading materials, the speaker encourages employees to skip through the mandatory readings, focusing on the most important. How about the mandatory and supplementary readings, focusing on the most important points needed for these employees to perform their jobs more effectively. However, the article confirms, and I'm going to say contends here because these are different arguments here. The article contends that supplementary reading materials provided to their employees could help these workers perform their tasks more productively. According to him, therefore, employees should read the full text of both supplementary and required reading materials. To wrap things up, the final point in the discussion is connected to the stages in the writing process, and particularly whether employees should follow the steps of the writing process. The instructor suggests that employees need to follow step by step the writing process by making an outline, writing a rough draft, having a coworker edit the draft, and completing a final draft before submitting the report. What's more, following this writing process will help workers write the reports in a more timely and accurate manner. Nevertheless, the passage states that employees should not write the reports by following the steps of the writing process because these are time consuming, and should write these documents all at once. In conclusion, the listening passage is skeptical of the accuracy of each point discussed by the author in the reading passage. With some of the changes that we've done right now, I want you to take a look at what Microsoft says about it at this point. So words per sentence, you can see now we have 27.7. So we're up about 6 or 7 words per sentence. Vocabulary jumped just a little bit. Your vocabulary is already strong. It was, think, 5.1. Right now it's 5.3. And then the grade level now goes from 11 to 15. And that's definitely college level right there. That's a Flesch Kincaid grade level of 15. So I combined some of your sentences, I added some more vocabulary in there, and you have now increased the academic level of the writing, which I think is good because Toefl uses E-Rater, ETS's artificial scoring engine, to score your writing, and you want to make sure that your grade level is I think pretty close to 12 or 13, and we're even beyond that. And it makes sense that it would be a little higher because this is what we call a summary. Summaries are very formal. You're explaining the most important points from a reading and a listening passage. To conclude, I want to go over to my website now and let's see what you need to focus on. Okay, maybe I can look here. Okay, here we go. Let's take a look at the different parts of my website here. And while everything is fresh in my mind, I want to go over some things I think are important for you to help you with your writing and your grammar skills. Vocabulary, I'm going to leave it alone. I think overall you're in pretty good shape on that. Okay, let's take a look at some things here. I think you could probably benefit lesson number 4, sentences with appositives, give you some syntactic variety there. You can take a look at that lesson. Yeah, I think understanding the complex sentence. So sometimes you're not quite sure about whether you need a verb or not, or how to put the verb in there within a complex sentence. So study lessons number 7, 8, and 9. These deal with noun clauses, adverb clauses, multiple clauses. I think lesson 6, adjective clauses, is also good. Okay, let's take a look at, I think lesson 16, count and non-count nouns. I think that's a good lesson for you. Okay, I'm looking at more things here. Maybe lesson 24, gerunds and infinitives. I think lesson 26, sentence variety, I think is a good lesson. And then you can do 26.2, sentence variety practice exercises. Lesson number 27, being more concise. This is a good lesson for you right now. And then you can do lesson 28.1, making sentences more concise, practice exercises. Okay, let's go to the writing part of my 7-step system here. So the most important one here I told you is, I think, lesson number 8, how to make your writing more coherent. And that one's important because it'll explain to you the different kinds of connecting words that we can use in academic writing to help show how things are related. And specifically, you'll learn the difference among coordinating conjunctions, subordinating conjunctions, and transition words. So I think that's a very important lesson for you. And then with the integrated speaking, you understand how to organize it, right? So I don't think there's a major problem. I'm going to give just a couple lessons here. Lesson number 9, Toefl integrated writing strategies. This is a master lesson. I think that will be beneficial for you. It'll just go over what you already know, but it can probably help you about the structure, how to organize this kind of task. And then the final lesson here is paraphrasing with voice markers. Okay, so there you go. So like I said before, your score according to the The IBT rubrics here is I'm putting you at about a 3.0 out of 5. 20 points out of 30, mainly because of some problems with grammar and or usage, and then some imprecise explanations of the key points of the information in the reading and the listening passage. All right, and thank you for completing this practice test.